10 financial mistakes that you should be avoiding in 2022. In this video, we are going to be capturing topics such as debt, very important topics such as investments, and extremely important topics such as your earnings as well. It's a very important discussion because financial literacy is still a challenge, because our schools teach us how to do algebra or how to do calculus, which is I still remember those really interesting equations around dy by dx, but I've never ever used them. But largely our schools have been failing to teach us the financial literacy, and many a times governments think that financial literacy has to do more with the poor strata of the economy, but they do not even realize that financial literacy or financial education has been completely absent for Gen Zs and for our entire generation, because schools were supposed to teach us this important topic, but clearly there has not been much success around it. With that, let's directly get into the list of 10 financial mistakes that you should be avoiding in 2022. My first is going to be very interesting and a very bold claim about which a lot of you may hate me or a lot of you may have dissonance with me. The first is definitely around do not invest in stocks. Do not invest in stocks. Rather, invest in index funds. What is the difference and why do I say this? So here is this thing about entirely stock market. You have a hit rate, right? Warren Buffett has a hit rate of what do I mean by hit rate? That if he invests in 10 stocks, 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 will be profitable for him, and few could be devastating investments. And especially if you learn about the entire world of private equity, venture capital, they all actually do not put their eggs in the basket of one stock or another stock, right? They create their entire portfolio, and everyone understands, for example, when Sequoia, which is a venture capital fund, when they will invest in a portfolio of startups, they will understand that only 2 or 3 of them are going to be kick-ass funds, which will compensate for the loss of the other 90, right? At the time of investing, they always think this is the one major winning stock for me or major winning asset for me. But eventually they do have this realization that they just need 2 or 3 ace investments in their entire portfolio to compensate for the loss that's going to come at the expense of others. If you are new to this entire investment game, please understand that you cannot hit a run rate or a hit success ratio of 100%. Buffett, who is the legendary investment I would say investment guru that a lot of people talk about, has a hit ratio in the range of 40 to 50%. Then why do I talk about index funds? I think it's a really interesting topic because largely what index funds do, if you do not know about index funds, feel free to comment. I'm happy to make another video. But the short topic around, or the short explanation around index fund is, index fund actually replicates the entire index, right? For example, S&P 500 is the index in United States. You have Nifty 50. Nifty is the market in India where you invest. Nifty 50 are the top 50 firms in India. They could be Reliance, they could be Wipro, they could be TCS, they could be Aditya Birla, etc. And cumulatively that entire portfolio, right, the big large organizations, they grow at a rate of, let's say, 20% over a span of 10 years. Your money grows at that rate over a span of 10 years. How is that really beautiful, and how is that entire concept better than investing in stocks? A, you are not stressed. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you're not a trader. You are either a student or a working professional, right? You are stressed about your GMAT, you're stressed about your education, you're stressed about getting a great career. You're not someone who can actively manage those stocks. You can actively trade on those stocks, right? So that's point number 1. Point number 2, it is going to be darn hard for you to have a hit rate better than Warren Buffett, right? So you eventually know you're going to be pumping in money, your hard-earned money, in certain stocks which are not going to actually give you a relevant return. And point number 3, in life, I've always maintained this, that you should not actually just try to become wealthy. You should try to become wealthy, at the same time have a really great mental health as well. I have pumped in a lot of my money in index funds. And how does that really help me? When the market crashed, I put in my money in index funds for the next 10 years. I am not stressed. I'm not opening my Zerodha or any other demat account and checking what's happening with my stocks. Why? Because I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I have 10 more things to do rather than just track my money, right? And that's why, in fact, I come from the same school of thought of Warren Buffett, because I read his Tap Dancing to Work book, Page to Page, and he basically says that I do not invest my money in an organization where I will have to intervene, right? I invest in the best people. I invest where there are great organizational managers, because I trust they will take care of my money. And that's the mindset you need to have when you are becoming an investor. If you are becoming an investor and you have to track your money on a daily basis, then probably you're not really a great investor. You have to micromanage that entire portfolio. So my first advice, the mistake, it's very bold advisory, but I don't think that you should be pumping in your money in individual stocks or wasting so much time reading a lot of Economic Times articles or a lot of YouTubers or a lot of getting insider information trying to figure out which stock you should put your money in. Pick the index fund. It could be Nifty 50. There are a lot of index funds. It's available on the Zerodhas of the world, where you could put in their money. And I think that's the best right strategy to put your investment and then not stress about it. A lot of people want to become greedy. A lot of people have this thing of becoming rich quickly in life. I think nobody becomes rich quickly in life. It's a slow process. Understand it's a slow process. Accept the fact that if you put in that 2 lakh rupees, it's going to probably become 17 or 20%, and that compounds after every year. There could be jumps. It may not be just exponential. It could be a cyclical curve as well. But I really appreciate the fact that I'm not stressed about my portfolio and I can get a good night's sleep even at the expense, or even when my money is actually doubling, quadrupling, so on and so forth. So that's first mistake that I would advise you against. Point number 2 is about health insurance. It's another financial mistake that people do not think it's financial in nature. Health insurance is really critical, and I think after earning decent amount and after having certain bank balance, I've started to appreciate why micro insurance, or especially for the rural poor, doesn't work. When you have $100 in your bank account and you have an expense ratio of 80%, you are not bound to have health insurance. And I understand that. Largely because you're thinking, hey, if push comes to shove, if there's a doomsday, I will borrow from someone, right? Why should I give 5 rupees from my 100 rupees every month to someone for health insurance for a scenario that's not even likely to occur? However, what really happens is, with age, with time, with luck, with a lot of career advancement, your salary eventually rises, right? So for example, imagine that now you're not earning rupees 100. You're earning, let's say, rupees 10 lakh. And now let's say, unfortunately, doomsday occur and you have to go through that entire harrowing experience of looking at the health of a loved one, or unfortunately it could be for yourself. And let's say the billing that comes out eventually is 4 lakh or 5 lakhs, and that's just an average or a median. It could be really humongous, especially given the health crisis we are all living in. Imagine 50% of your savings are actually depleted just because you were not prepared for it. Now imagine, hypothetically, all you had to pay was rupees 5 at an age of 19 till the age of 60, and that ensures that your 50% of the wealth is not depleted just because you invested in a health insurance. And that amount would be minuscule. It would be in the it would not be, of course, rupees 5, but it would be on a scale of that number, something like rupees 5, because you started investing in your health insurance really early on. So I would highly advise you to actually pump in your money, pump in your savings and investment for your health insurance, especially IPD. IPD is inpatient. In the case of an accident, when you have to be admitted to a hospital, the health insurance takes care of you. So that's the second mistake I would advise you against, not getting a health insurance. The third one is not paying your credit card bill on time. Frankly, I've never had a credit card. The only time I had a credit card was when I was working for BCG, and in fact, BCG gives us this credit card so that when we were living in hotels, etc., we could take care of our expenses. I do not even believe in the culture of credit card to start with, but if you're someone who is living on credit card and who tends to forget the billing date of credit card, and I know that there are interest rate as high as 20%, then please do yourself a favor. Do not pay someone else that unnecessary amount that could have gone to your savings, that could have gone to your healthcare, that could have gone to your investment, right? I know that there are startups out there who are trying to solve for it. Kudos to them. It's as simple as having an email reminder to your own self. Send a self reminder to your own self. Could be on phone, could be on email. Plus, please make sure you're not paying an interest on something that was not needed. I repeat, why are we paying interest on something that is not even a house, not even a vehicle, not even actually our education? We are just paying interest something which is a lifestyle for us. If possible, avoid credit cards. And if you cannot avoid credit cards, please bare minimum ensure that you're paying those credit card bills on time. So that's the third mistake I would advise you against. The fourth one is having an expense ratio more than 10%. It's a really good point. And so when I started earning, I've always maintained my earnings were really meager. I started with 25,000 per month. And I have always ensured since that day that my expense ratio has been less than 10%. It never goes more than that. And of course, Shatakshi, you can ask Shatakshi, how could you manage less than 10% when you were earning 25,000 per month back then? My company was taking care of all my housing, food, etc. I was working in a boutique consulting organization back then. Of course, there could be your organization may not be able to take care of you in such circumstances, but at least try as much as possible to have your expenses within the 10% bucket. And which brings me towards the fifth point that I want to avoid, which is lifestyle inflation. With time, of course, my salary started increasing, right? But I have always ensured that my expenses not more than 10%. Just because my salary is rising at a rate of 25% per year doesn't mean that I increase my expense at 25% per year. It's called lifestyle inflation. Just because you're earning more doesn't mean that you need to actually have an expense percentage or ratio wise more as well. You need the basic housing, you need the basic transportation, you need the same food to live. You do not need a car in the world of Uber. I do not need it's a depreciating asset, and I'm happy to make a video if you want to discuss on should you need a car or not. I do not, till the time I need a car, I don't think I would be buying one, because the asset doesn't increase in time. It's a depreciating asset largely. But please make sure that your lifestyle inflation isn't taking place. As a youngster, it is very sexy, or it is very cool, especially in your early 20s when you get a big paycheck. You want to show to the world. It's typically said that you want to impress the people who do not even care about you, right? And you end up depleting a large percentage of your wealth. Minimalism is a mindset, right? That's the kind of mindset that we all need to have. So please make sure in 2022, if we have done that mistake in 2021, we do not repeat. Which brings me towards the seventh point, which is around being on hourly salary. Here is this thing. When I was a BCG consultant, even though I was getting paid a bomb, I was actually on an hourly basis. I was getting charged on an hourly basis by the client, right? So if I work 9 hours, I get X. If I work 12 hours, I get Y, so on and so forth, right? Similarly, that's how most of the jobs are. It's 9 to 5. If it's not 9 to 5, it's 9 to 9, etc. As long as you're working on an hourly basis, you are not actually solving for your long-term earnings and your long-term incomes, right? Because life happens. At times, you may not be able to be in a working condition. You may not be able to justify the hourly rate that you have. And hence, I would highly advise you, if you have not done yet, have a side hustle. It could be teaching. It could be making these YouTube videos. Truth be told, YouTube videos is actually a means for me to start giving back to the society, like I mentioned in one of my introduction videos. But for you, it could be a side hustle. You could start earning from it as well. So that's another point. It's a point that I strongly believe in. Please do not put all your eggs of the earnings in just the salary basket. There is a great resignation happening. People are questioning if they really like their job or they don't like their job. And that's why it's really important that you start a side hustle, which is not just hourly in nature. The best case scenario could be somewhere around creating a software, right? And that is used by everyone. But I understand that may not be possible on day one. So create something which is making sure that all your eggs are not in one basket. You're hedging your risk. Which brings me towards the next point, which is around debt. Avoid debt at all cost. Avoid debt at all cost as much as possible. I realized one thing in life, and I strongly believe in this. Independence, getting independence is one of the key means through which you can become happy in life. Happy, not wealthy, not successful. In the last 5 years, I've just tried to become more independent in life. I want to do things at my own time, at the place I like, with the people I want. And that has definitely made me a lot more happy. How have I been able to actually become more independent is because currently, as of today, I do not have any debt on my head. Had I had a debt, I would have actually been working for another organization, making sure that I was debt free. Education debt is the only debt that I believe, if push comes to shove, if you cannot afford it, and there are a lot of organizations which provide 0% debt for your top MBAs and MPPs program, you should check them out. If push comes to shove, that's the kind of debt you need. But as much as possible, it may just sound really sexy if you get an HBS offer letter, Harvard Business School, and you want to now take a debt because you know that for the next 3 to 4 years you can take care of that. That's the only extreme circumstance you should be able to take a debt. But I do not believe to take a house, to take a car, or EMI free loans that are available on all these e-commerce websites that you should be getting on a debt. Debt is the last thing that you need to have, which brings me towards the next point. In case you have a debt, pay the loan first before you buy the coffee that you cannot afford. Pay the loan first before you buy the coffee or any flamboyant lifestyle that you can afford. Why? Because life is very uncertain. Just because you are able to have a salary today doesn't mean that you will be able to have a salary tomorrow as well. So because you're salaried right now, try to get debt free as early, as quickly as you can, so that you can eventually become independent and you can actually put your hard-earned money in savings and investments. Which brings me towards almost the second last point in the list, which is around financial literacy. You're getting financially literate through this video, right? Financial literacy hasn't happened to us throughout our lifetime, at least as per the Indian education ecosystem. And that's why I say that if one of the mistakes you have done in the last whatsoever years, you have not financially educated yourself, please do yourself a favor and please educate yourself through books, through journals, through newspapers, through these YouTube videos. But that's another mistake I would advise you against. Not financially educating yourself, not making sure that you're financially literate. Health insurance, investments, debt, taking care of those debt, taking care of the credit card loans is all part of the financial literacy, which brings me towards the last point. And it's a very personal point. Plan your expenses in advance. Plan your expenses in advance. When I was in my early 20s, I had fixed deposits, mutual funds, which I kept breaking time and again because I wanted to prepare for GMAT. GMAT is a really expensive exam. I wanted to pay for my coaching. I wanted to submit applications for top business schools, etc. Because I was not doing a lot of the financial planning for the upcoming year, hence all of these things were happening. Charlie Munger famously said, the first rule in compounding is to not break it unnecessarily. The first rule in compounding is to not break it unnecessarily. And hence I would advise you, the year 2021 is ending. If you're watching this video in 2021 or at any point in your time, please do yourself a favor and create a financial planning for yourself. Create a buffer in it. I anticipate an expense of 4 lakhs this year, and probably there is going to be a buffer of 2 more lakhs because life happens, uncertainty happens. But keep that buffer, that 6 lakh is going to be my expense, and keep the rest of the entire expense aside. Some of it should be cash and others should be part of your investments, right? It could go in health insurance, it could go for your education, it could go for your index funds as well. That's it from my side in this video of 10 financial mistakes you should be avoiding in 2022. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye. Subscribe right now so that you get notified every time, every day, whenever I'm putting up my videos on career advancement, personal finance, and lots of